Hello, class. Today, our project is going to be covering Exodus Recovery. We're group three, comprised of Jenica Barron, Lily Gomez-Fuentes, Elsabeth Petersen, Arthur Tumikyan, and myself, Dominique Webster. And our contact at Exodus Recovery is Edith Erner. She's the Director of Substance Use Disorder and Treatment and Integrated Care. She had a wealth of information, has been working with Exodus Recovery since 1999 regarding our topic.
So, background on Exodus Recovery. Exodus Recovery is a project that focuses on individualized treatment plans to help provide education on addiction and to foster an environment that promotes long-term sobriety. Through utilizing a strong team, which we will be addressed later on in the presentation, Exodus has provided psychiatric and drug abuse care to the communities of Southern California since 1989. And since then, Exodus has expanded its care to several outpatient treatment facilities and programs, contracting with the LA Department of Public Health. The location of this Exodus substance use disorder facility is located in Boyle Heights, a hotspot for drug use and crime, targeting a large population of users within the area, including homeless people. And people within the population can benefit from long-term support and being issues additional resources that can help maintain their goals.
As Arthur already mentioned, the location of Exodus Recovery that we're covering is Exodus East Side, located in Boyle Heights. And as you can see on your right, we have a little infographic of the substance use and mental health statistics of Boyle Heights compared to the rest of LA County. As you could see, Boyle Heights has higher rates of drug overdose, binge drinking, and the mental health issue of depression. So, and on your left, from our interview with Edith Erner, a lot of the substance abuse prevention control that their clients deal with is methamphetamine, alcohol, and cannabis, as well as a lot of them are housing insecure or have issues with their housing. They don't have very stable housing. And as well, a lot of their clients have mental health comorbidities, whether that's schizophrenia, depression, different things of that nature. And their main client base is African Americans and Latinos.
Some other aspects of the program regarding recovery, there isn't a typical time period to recovery or method to predict if a client will be successful in recovery, and there also isn't any statistically meaningful ways to measure the success of the program. But with that being said, there are several clients at Exodus who have been stable in recovery for several years, and the staff has observed that those who participate regularly in the group counseling sessions over time just tend to do better. We also spoke with Edith about withdrawal. So she spoke about some participants becoming very agitated due to withdrawal from substance use. Although they have no way of treating the symptoms themselves, Exodus does a really great job of discussing the difficulty of the situation and the reality of the situation, as well as equipping participants with ways to get through this stage of recovery. Finally, Exodus really focuses on creating a support system between its clients and staff. Also, if two family members are a part of the treatment program, they will help both of them or accept referrals from clients for their family members. However, outside of the program, Exodus doesn't really directly help or collaborate with family members of clients.
The main objectives of the substance use disorder program at Exodus Recovery are to lower the barriers to entering recovery, create a supportive environment for the clients to gain knowledge and absorb a progress demonstrated in group counseling sessions or individual counseling sessions, and provide resources like the Recovery Bridge housing and help transition into residential treatment if the client wants to pursue a higher level of care. There's an emphasis on radical hospitality and rapport building and community connections.
Building a strong support system is crucial for beneficial and impactful change for struggling individuals. The executive team at Exodus, comprised of medical directors with Doctor of Medicine degrees, strategy implementation officers with master's level education, registered nurses, quality management officers, and in-home care support teams ultimately set the foundation for a strong support system that focuses on the immediate and long-term goals of the patients. In-home care support teams are a great way to keep track of individual progress and see what really works for patients and what doesn't, and they're henceforth filtering out for individualized plan. Additionally, peer support creates a comforting environment that encourages continued growth within the target population of Exodus.
So one of the first methods that they use is group counseling. And Exodus Recovery, they usually have more than they're supposed to in the group session. So there's a limit of 12, but clients are insisted on not being divided unless they are put in these little special cohort groups. Typically between 25 or, I'm sorry, 18 to 25 people are broken up into two group sessions held simultaneously. They have 12-week series dedicated to topics such as anger management, trauma, etc. And during the group counseling sessions, they use motivational interviewing, which allows connections with each other. It celebrates success, camaraderie, and supports, makes the biggest impact in the lives of the clients. So they use statements such as I. Um, and they provide also weekly individual sessions, which will be touched in more detail further during the presentation to meet the client's goal. And the group content varies from week to week, and it incorporates educational topics along with time to process and explore feelings with peers and group counselors.
To further encourage help and support for patients, educational brochures and flyers that advertise the services of the facilities are used to reach their audience. These informational cards allow individuals to familiarize themselves with the services available and how to obtain certain resources. They can also serve to educate on topics of relapse prevention, identifying triggers, which is important in knowing what causes the desire to use, and how allows to pinpoint recognition of changes necessary to help patients. Dealing with cravings, while focusing on altering desires towards healthier options, educating on the disease of addiction and fentanyl safety due to its high rise of users' mortality rate, the importance of sober support, fun and recovery in terms of collaborating with peers and engaging in exciting activities that distract from the desire to use substances. An introduction to the 12th step is also crucial to understanding the of impact that Exodus has on the community. The flyer on the right is an example of the program's engagement with communities and its expansion of services throughout LA and San Diego County.
The third method utilized is individualized sessions. And in these individualized sessions, Exodus Recovery tries to make the client as comfortable as possible, depending on the comorbidity, and they try to build trust with the client. This can mean allowing a client with PTSD to sit near an exit during a session so that they don't feel trapped. Um, Alternatively, they use harm reduction education tools like fentanyl test strips for educational purposes, never for punishment. And this is important because most of the time clients are referred by the Department of Public Social Services, DPSS, Department of Health Care Services, DHCS, or the Department of Children and Family Services, DCFS. And they want clients to be tested frequently. However, Exodus recognizes that a big part of the recovery process is building trust with the client. So they use the drug testing for educational purposes, never for punishment. And Edith said specifically, we treat the client, not DCFS. So this is very important to build trust with the client. The fourth method is in home care. So Exodus Recovery, they're able to check up on clients at many locations at home, and home can be a shelter, recovery bridge housing, as shown in the flyer to the right, apartment, a sidewalk, encampment, shelter, etc. And the home care is relatively new. It started in 2022, and it has been pretty successful. They're in partnership with the Los Angeles and San Diego County Department of Mental Health, also alcohol and drug Medi-Cal contracted programs, hospital-based inpatient and outpatient programs, and wellness center programs.
We found that the methods implemented by Exodus Recovery aligned with the integrated behavior model, which states that attitudes, perceived norms, and personal agency shape the intention to perform a behavior. By dedicating time to process and explore feelings with a group counselor and other participants, the program helps participants mitigate their experiential attitudes towards recovery, as members are able to flesh out the emotional difficulty of the recovery process. And then, in conjunction with educational topics in the brochures like Fun and Recovery, participants are encouraged to replace negative feelings of behavior with more positive and hopeful ones. Then, during individualized sessions, participants are able to evaluate how recovery will be useful and beneficial to their lives specifically. So, whether it's through potential career goals or reuniting with their family or any other ambitions that participants may have, working with a counselor that one-on-one time will help shape their instrumental attitudes and realize how recovery could help them specifically.
So another important construct of the integrated behavioral model is perceived norms. This includes both injunctive norms, the perceived social pressure to perform or avoid a particular behavior based on the person's beliefs about how others expect them to behave, and descriptive norms, the person's beliefs about how others behave. In practice, Exodus Recovery applies this construct through therapist-led weekly group counseling sessions with an established curriculum that creates a social network of people who are invested in substance use disorder recovery. This environment impacts injunctive norms by creating the expectation of commitment to recovery and a group dynamic that holds its members accountable to participate. Additionally, the group counseling sessions inform descriptive norms by providing participants with the opportunity to observe what others do, especially what others do to succeed in recovery.
And another big aspect to the integrated behavioral model is personal agency, changing the person who's going through recovery's personal agency to realize their perceived control and self-efficacy to quit their substance use disorder. So in terms of perceived control, the brochures and handouts have different informational materials about possible fentanyl exposure or different statistics to realize they can be a part of that percentage of people who do recover from their substance use disorder, as well as in-home care. So the group counseling sessions tends to be the best way that they measure success of the program and how people continue to maintain their sobriety. Being able to have that in-home care and creating that environment when they're away from the controlled environment of Exodus Recovery changes their perceived control to allow them to be able to realize they can quit whatever substance that they're using. And then in terms of self-efficacy, the brochure and handouts as well double down on the self-efficacy, realizing that they can be a part of the percentage of people who do recover. And then the group counseling creates group efficacy that allows for self-efficacy. So they're able to exchange stories with people who are very similar to them, and they're able to see themselves and realize, hey, this person is able to do it. I am able to recover as well. And then in terms of other constructs, there's the knowledge and skills, the salience of the behavior, environmental constraints, and habit forming. So in terms of knowledge and skills, the group counseling promotes self-efficacy, group efficacy with others to encourage that they can quit their substance use disorder. The salience of the behaviors, the brochures and handouts increase the awareness of behaviors that promote cessation and allow them to change their behavior or realize what they can do instead of using whatever substance that they were. The environmental constraints, the in-home care keeps clients accountable outside of Exodus recovery, which tends to be the most difficult. And that allows Exodus to reach out to the person's home and they're able to more comfortably go through their process of recovery. And in terms of habit forming, the group counseling and habitual meetings leads to the greatest success rate. So we want people to form the habit of going to those group sessions, going to those group meetings for those 12 weeks to be able to have the best success of recovering from their substance use disorder.
So, as we know, the program is really great at creating a supportive environment within itself. So, currently, Exodus Recoveries does so through the frequent group and individual meetings, allowing members to get close with each other as well as the staff. And there isn't really much interaction with the quote unquote outside world. So even when the staff is going out for the in-home care portion of the program outside of the Exodus buildings themselves, there really isn't much interaction between clients and people outside of almost that program bubble. So there's an opportunity there for Exodus to create connection with the community as a whole. So, in our interview, we learned that Exodus Recovery does not currently collaborate with family members of clients. So, that's one major area of improvement, since in some cases, family members would be some of the main supporters in the participants' everyday lives. And then also, the group that meets weekly could engage in other activities like going on runs or community outreach. The group could find other ways to socialize and practice sobriety outside of the Exodus Recovery Center, then by creating those good memories of recovery in the context of their family or their community, participants are able to associate more positive experiential attitudes towards the process as a whole. And then, as previously mentioned as well, Exodus has taken on more participants than the program was initially designed for. So, by returning to the original smaller group sizes, participants will have more opportunities to build meaningful connections and observe one another's progress. And then these closer relationships can strengthen the perceived norms by allowing participants to more clearly see recovery-oriented behaviors as typical and socially supported within their group.
So another area of improvement is increasing personal agency. Currently, Exodus provides a curriculum that focuses on topics like relapse prevention, identifying triggers, dealing with cravings, and an introduction to the 12 steps. The program could further increase participants' personal agency by providing an expanded lesson plan that includes more skill-building topics, such as time management, goal setting, and nutrition. This supports the individual's perceived control and self-efficacy by helping them develop practical skills and build their confidence. And then a final area of improvement would be to help participants modify current habits and form new ones. Exodus provides outreach through its in-home care program, as we've discussed earlier in the presentation, and they offer educational materials like introductory information and the group counseling schedule. And this encourages people to attend the group sessions. This is very helpful in engaging people to enter the program, but we could see that Exodus could further support habit change by providing media to take home, like recordings of lesson topics and homework activities to practice repeating behaviors that establish positive habits over time. In this way, the program can further reinforce the concepts covered during those group counseling sessions and help its participants be successful in recovery. So the following slides are our references. And this concludes our community project presentation on Exodus recovery. Thank you for your time.